At what age did you stop? Was it 35 when the promotion went to someone younger? Was it 45 when you said it's too late to change careers? Was it 55 when you started counting down to retirement like it was freedom? My Uncle Chock started a new business at 85. He's 95 now, still flipping houses. This isn't a story about some superhuman old guy. This is a story about the exact moment you decided to coast and why that decision is killing you. People always ask me, how do you define determination? Wrong question. The real question is, when did you lose yours? Because Chock will tell you, determination isn't something you're born with. It's forged. And his forging ground was the cruelest classroom in American history.
Chock, tell me, what inspired you at 85, and I know you refurbish homes, what inspired you at 85 to do that?
I wanted to be productive.
Did somebody turn you on to the idea?
Well, of course, you got to go back to the Depression. People don't understand how poor people was back during the Depression. Nobody had nothing. Of course, back then, everybody was virtually the same, and you really didn't worry about it. But I remember the Dust Bowl when the sand would stack up to the top of the house.
1930s, Oklahoma, Texas Panhandle, the Dust Bowl. For 6 years, the sky turned black. Topsoil, 3 feet deep, just gone, blown away. Crops died, cattle died, dreams died. Thousands ran, packed everything they owned and fled west, chasing promises that would turn to dust in their hands. But here's what the history books don't tell you. The Dust Bowl didn't just take farms, it took something deeper. It took people's belief that they could create momentum. Most people learned, the world is against me, I should give up. Chock learned something different.
I wanted to do a little bit better than the times was back then. And I always wanted to do something to help the kids because I didn't want them to go through what I went through.
He learned that the world doesn't owe you momentum. You create it, or you disappear. The Dust Bowl buried an entire generation of dreamers. But Chock? He decided he would spend the rest of his life being productive, creating, building what the dust tried to bury. So what you do when you learn that lesson. You build. The construction companies, real estate, bars, land development. Not because you need the money, because productivity is oxygen. Because when you stop creating, you start dying.
How did you start in business?
I had a friend that started out contracting. One of the partners died, and they come and talked to me, and they said, "We need some help over here. I want you to come in and take the partner that passed away." And so he said, "Well, I'm going to let you come over here, and we'll be in partners." And we started out there, and then in a couple of years, I bought my partner out, and then I was on my own.
So it seems to me like you had some kind of background. Did that one partner, was he a good teacher?
I was a good worker. And once you keep your hands busy, you can teach yourself.
But here's what you need to understand. Every building, every deal, every risk. They weren't about wealth. They were about proof. Proof that a kid who grew up choking on dust could create instead of being buried. Proof that momentum, once you grab it, doesn't have to stop. And by 85, Chock had built everything, proved everything, secured his legacy. He could have stopped, so why didn't he? 85 years old, he had won, built an empire, raised a family, left a legacy. Most men would be on a golf course somewhere, playing it safe, playing it small. Instead, Chock became an apprentice again, started flipping houses. And this is where the story gets dangerous. Not for him, for you. When was the last time you built something, created something that mattered, took a real risk, started something new when you had every excuse to play it safe? Or have you already retired? Not from a job, from life. At 85, Chock didn't flip houses because he needed money. He did it to stay productive, to keep creating, to keep his mind alive, to prove that stopping isn't in his DNA.
So, Chock, tell me, you were 85 years old. You decided to refurbish houses. Tell me about where that started.
It started whenever I was looking for something to keep me productive. And I knew that real estate was the way to go. And but I started buying these sheriff sale houses and redoing them, and then selling them, carried the notes on them. And it was such a productive business. It just grew and grew. We've done about 20 of them in the last 10 years.
You do this for young families, and so they don't have to go to a bank. You're actually the bank as well?
Yeah, no, I don't go to the bank. I do it through our resources. The key to it is, on these houses in the lower income districts, you want to fix it to where that the people that buys them and moves in, you want the payments to be a little bit lower than rent. So you've got a built-in tenant that don't have anywhere to go because he can't find anything that cheap.
But then he did something that changed everything. He became the bank for his homeowners. Think about this. An 85-year-old man who spent his whole life building wealth. He looked at people who were struggling to own a house. You deserve a chance.
I think one of the best things in business, you've got to be able to rub shoulders with bankers, lawyers. You got to be able to rub shoulders with homeless people, and you got to make them feel like they're just as important as the president. Most of my people that I use when I redo these houses, they're homeless people. I pick them up and work them. And of course, I got to be right there with them. You got to show them everything to do. I try to take care of this end of it as well as my end of it.
Yeah.
So, but I have a good relation with the homeless people.
He let homeless individuals work on the houses, learn trades, prove themselves. And when the house was finished, he financed the mortgage. No bank would touch them. But Chock remembered. He remembered what it was like in the Dust Bowl, starting with nothing, when nobody gave you a chance, when the world said you should just give up and blow away.
What's the magical key that makes you successful?
I think one of the biggest assets was I had a good wife, Barbara and I. And my biggest asset was having a wife that worked with you and pushed you. And she was behind me on everything that I did. And I think that's the biggest asset, is to be real happy at home and to take care of your family.
How long have you been married to Barbara?
53 years.
See, most people spend their whole lives building walls, protecting what they have, playing defense. Chock spent his whole life building bridges, staying productive by lifting others up. And somewhere in this journey, God opened a door, not just to a business, not just to a purpose, to vitality itself.
I got to go back to a story that Brad told me about when you turned 90 and when you got COVID in the hospital. What happened?
Well, when you get flat of your back and you can't look up but one way, that's when you really put your eyes on God. And you realize at that point that that's the most important thing that you can do, is to make sure that you're right with God. And then the second thing is you worry about your family. First thing that you have to do, you have to spend a lot of hours in prayer by yourself. And I think prayer is very important, and it's really real.
It solidified his marriage, strengthened his family, gave him something beyond momentum, meaning. At 85, most people are winding down. Chock was just warming up and still running at 95. Last summer, Uncle Chock turned 95 years old. 95 years on this planet, and he hasn't stopped building, hasn't stopped creating, hasn't stopped being productive, hasn't stopped giving people chances nobody else would give them. So let me ask you one more time. At what age did you stop? Because Chock's story isn't just inspiration, it's a mirror. And what you see in that mirror should make you uncomfortable. Every excuse you've made, I'm too old, it's too late, I'm too tired, I've earned my rest. Chock's life is proof that those are lies. Lies you told yourself so you could feel better about quitting. The Dust Bowl taught him that you either create momentum or you get buried. So he created momentum that lasted 95 years and counting. I'm going to give Uncle Chock the last word, because after 95 years of refusing to stop, he's earned it.
Well, I think the first thing it is, you got to understand that worry and stress isn't good for you. You've got to train your mind, keep your eyes open. I don't remember ever having a bad day.
You've never had a bad day.
Well, what you got to do is train yourself. It doesn't make any difference what happened. You have to look at it as the best thing that ever happened to you, because you know that the next day's going to be better. Don't let worry or stress worry you. When you get to a point to where you don't let death worry you, if you lose a grandkid or a child or something, you got to say, well, this is the day the Lord made.
I'm assuming you don't believe in retirement.
No, I don't. I think a person should keep working as long as he's able to get around and be productive. And that's one thing that keeps your mind straight. You can't be a clock watcher.
Ooh, that seems to be a huge term. I love that.
That's really the key, I think, to a lot of it.
What would the 95-year-old Chock tell the 25-year-old Chock?
That everything is strictly from heaven. I'm 95 and I'm not ready, because I don't want to leave what I've got here on earth. But sooner or later you will. But don't let it worry you. Everything's going to be okay.